Oh, hello there. My name is Stan Lee, and I bet you were wondering how I got into comics. Funny enough, I had no intention to. It was purely by accident. It all began at Timely Publishing in New York City, 1939. There I became an office assistant for the comic department that I didn't know existed. I only intended to get work experience no matter what. There I met Jack Kirby, the artist, and Joe Simon, the editor. I did mundane tasks such as making sure the inkwells were filled for their pens, some proofreading, fetching coffee and sandwiches, and sweeping up the place. After a couple of years, I became a text editor. I was so embarrassed to be working with comics that I divided my name, Stanley Lieber, into Stan Lee. Comics were silly, so I wanted to save my name for posterity. Aside from my intended purpose, the name stuck. Later that year, Jack Kirby and Joe Simon left Timely Publications due to disagreements with the company. I was asked to take up the position as editor until they found an adult, normal human being. Well, when you're 19, what do you do? I said, sure, I could do it, and I stayed there ever since. I guess he never found a normal human being. In 1942, as part of the war effort, I served domestically as a writer until the war ended 3 years later. In 1950, Timely Publications was rebranded into Atlas Comics, and Jack Kirby returned to the company. It was incredible to watch Jack Kirby draw, because whatever he put down seemed to be really perfect. What I would do is have an idea for a story, and I would tell Jack what I wanted the plot to be. I would write the dialogue after seeing the drawings, which had never been done before in the comic industry, which allowed the dialogue and the drawings to go perfectly together. After the war, comics were not very successful, and after 10 years of working with the demands of Atlas, I wanted to quit. Before I did, however, I was asked by my publisher to create a comic to compete with the Justice League of DC Comics. In that year of 1961, Jack Kirby and I responded with the Fantastic Four under the new company name Marvel Comics, and that was our first big success. We had never gotten fan mail before, but we started getting fan mail. A lot of fan mail. Jack Kirby and I continued to create series of new characters in the coming years, like the Hulk, Thor, and Spider-Man. One day, I was sitting and I saw a fly crawling on the wall, and I said, wow, suppose a person had the power to stick to a wall like an insect. And I tried many names like Insect Man, Fly Man, Mosquito Man. I really wanted to go with Spider-Man. I brought this up with my publisher and he said, are you serious? That's the most horrible idea we've ever heard. People hate spiders. We can't call a hero Spider-Man. I decided to go with it anyway. This was the first superhero who was a teenager. While DC Comics wrote superheroes as gods, I wrote superheroes as well-rounded characters, relatable people who you really care about. And that's what sets our comics apart from our competition. And that is the story of how I got into comics. Oh, wait, hang on. Hello? Another cameo? Sure, I'll be right over. Thank you, bye-bye. Oh, now where were we? Oh yeah, and that is the story of how I got into comics. Thank you so much for listening, and to all my fans out there, Excelsior!